There it is. Just getting all the systems booted up. Hi, Dr. Tiffany. How are you?
Hello, Jim. I'm good. How are you?
Happy Wednesday. Boy, that was a real monotone. Hi, Doctor. That was very peaceful. Very not like me. Normally loud and outspoken. Hi, Dr. Tiff. How are you? Happy Wednesday.
Happy
Did
Wednesday.
you miss
Is
me
it
over last
Wednesday
week?
already? What
Did you
happened?
miss me over last week?
Has it been a week? Feels
Did
like
you
it was
miss me?
yesterday.
You're supposed to
Of
say,
course. Of
yeah,
course.
there we go. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like that was not genuine.
Oh God. Hey,
Hi
did you
there,
miss
folks.
me?
What's
Okay,
that?
go ahead. Did you miss me then?
I did. Of course I did. Every day of my life. I'm
Okay.
always, well, I'm looking to my elders. I need my elders around.
Whatever.
Hi there, folks. Mic drop. Oops. Hi there, folks. My name is Jim, and I used to be a type 2 diabetic. And welcome to the Dr. Tiffany, and I better not screw up twice in a row, Dr. Tiffany and Jim live stream. This is awesome. Welcome to our live stream. This is going to be obviously a fun hour here in front of us. What we do is talk about metabolic health. We talk about the Feel Great system in particular. It's something that both Dr. Tiffany and I are very, very passionate about. And it saved my life. And Dr. Tiffany has now seen it save a lot of other people's lives. And so we do this live stream every single week to really kind of just talk about it and answer any questions. And you know, she's a real doctor and stuff. So, but about me, I have completely reversed type 2 diabetes. As in, I had an A1C that was 12.2%, and it's now a completely unmedicated 4.8%. And I've been unmedicated for about 2.5 years now. So it's pretty well in the rearview mirror for me. And in addition to that, I had very, very unhealthy cholesterol levels that aren't so bad now. We're much better now. I say aren't so bad, kind of tongue in cheek. They're great. They're normal. And then I've got normalized blood pressure. I'm living my best life. I'm the healthiest I've been since my teens. And I went to TikTok and started talking about this product. And, you know, over the last couple, 3 years, we've had a lot of people have very similar stories to mine. I'm not by myself. I'm not special. A lot of people are having this. And along the way, I met the great Dr. Tiffany Marie. And Doc, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, you're not slick calling me the great Dr. Tiffany Marie. If any of y'all caught that in the beginning, I'm trying to not be salty. But okay, I'm gonna get together. Get it together. Okay. Hello. I'm so excited to be here tonight, even with Jim and Tony. But yeah, I got to come across people. You know what happened? I took the red pill, and for y'all that don't understand this matrix reference, I took this red pill and followed it down the rabbit hole. And I promise you, every day I keep finding out more stuff, more reasons why so many people are still sick, more reason why so many people are taking so many medications, and I no longer want to be a part of it. I no longer want to be a part of that whole situation. And I started getting into things like lifestyle medicine, got board certified in another specialty after practicing family practice for 20 years, doing private practice, urgent care, telemedicine, virtual primary practice for the last 3 years, over 48 states in the US. And I figured I needed something else to do. And not only that, I decided I want to be a metabolic health coach to be able to help people understand how to reverse these conditions for real, for real. And I got to study under Dr. Ben Bickman, who is the leading authority in insulin resistance and calls himself the fat scientist. So, doing all of that, it became too much fun. Now I'm helping people reverse their insulin resistance, meaning helping them need less medicines for blood sugar, cholesterol, blood pressure. I was able to get off of my blood pressure medicine. I was able to help my brother get off of his insulin, his Trulicity, his metformin, and then hundreds others. And this is why we do this every week, just because of that.
It's crazy. And what I love about you, and I won't dig too much into it because we did it last week, and I think everybody should go back and watch last week's live stream because I kind of asked Dr. Tiffany some pointed questions. And what I love about you, Dr. Tiff, and I think what everybody loves about you is your willingness to really kind of answer any question that we have about, you know, why are we here? And, you know, I think we love about it. I'm wondering if our live stream is going out. It seems like it's awful quiet today. Anyway, I'm just checking our live stream stats. So normally we would have some comments by now. Are you noticing that there's zero
Yes.
comments?
Oh, there's one.
Is there? Okay, there we go. There we go. That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I think we should also take a moment to introduce Tony, but rather than us introduce Tony, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, Tony?
My name is Tony, and excuse me, I already have my voice off. I'm here to interpret for them. As you see, I'm doing the facilitation for people that are hard of hearing or hearing impaired, and I am actually using the system also. I've had wonderful experiences with it. My A1C was up. It wasn't as bad as Jim's, but I was up at a 10.7 when I started, and I was having to do something. I had to find something that worked. Medication wasn't helping as much as it should, and I got frustrated with it and did the whole big no thing, kind of got rid of it. Don't do that. Follow what your doctor says, okay? But things were out of control, and I heard this guy on TikTok that was talking about stuff, and I thought, does this really work? I mean, because I'm kind of a skeptical person anyway. And I started following and listening. And pretty soon I felt, he's genuine. He's like the real deal. And I felt like I could trust what he was saying. So I decided to try it. And I'm glad that I did, because it's been a life changer ever since. My 10.7 A1C went down to a 6.3 in 90 days. Also, at the same time, I had normalized my cholesterol and blood pressure, brought them down, dropped 40 pounds, 21 inches, and have just been continuing on since that. And it's been a wonderful journey. So I'm glad to be here and help to support them and get the word out to even more people.
It's absolutely amazing, Tone. I love it. Like so many other people, and it's been about a month and a half ago, Dr. Tiffany, I think, and time flies, but about a month and a half ago, maybe 2 months ago, we had a request if we could find us somebody who could interpret through sign, and it was like, well, you know what? Actually, I do know somebody who's pretty good at that. So we're very thankful to have Tony, and I think it's an avenue that I don't think anybody else is really doing, is trying to help out hearing impaired. So anyway, here's how this live stream works. If you've been invited to this live stream, it means that somebody thinks that you could benefit from the information in this live stream. And so what's going to happen is we're going to talk about a product, a product on the market called the Unicity Field Rate System. And really, it's one thing to hear about something that has all these blah, 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 these effects. But what we like to do is really talk about the science behind the products. And then we like to bring out real testimonials. Tony actually isn't the testimonial. He's here for the sign, but he has an amazing testimonial. So whoever it was that invited you to this, they think that this live stream could benefit you, could potentially save your life even. Maybe we're going to go that far. So stick around, listen to it. It might just be the one thing that you've been needing to hear. If, in fact, at the end of this live stream, you decide you want to purchase the product, just get with the person who invited you to this live stream, and they will show you how to order it. It's used a referral system. They'll get a discount for referring somebody to it. And if you start the system, guess what? You'll get a referral code too. You'll get a referral discount every time somebody orders using your code. It's a pretty simple, wonderful process. So with that in mind, stick around. It's only an hour long. It'll be over at 9 p.m. Eastern. So we're 51 minutes away from concluding. You're not going to be here all night long. And there's going to be some great information. That being said, also, if you are on the system and you're really, really excited about it, if you love this system like so many people do and you want other people to know about it, this is the perfect time to put them in front of Dr. Tiffany. Put them in front of her. Let her kind of explain what's going on and how this thing works. And, you might just have the ability to save somebody else's life. So this is a perfect time to invite somebody to your live stream. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, you can do that pretty easily. Just type the little @ symbol thing and start typing their name. And as soon as you do that, their name will pop up, hit enter, done. If you're on YouTube or you're on TikTok, and we're on like 15 different platforms right now, if you're on one of those, just hit that little arrow button to share it out. You can share it by text. You can share it through that individual app, but help people out. Let's get this thing shared out. In fact, I'm gonna challenge everybody listening right now to share this with 5 people. Share this out with 5 people, and let's try and spread the word. Okay, with that being said, I want to just read real quick. David over on TikTok. Hey, David, how are you? Suzanne on TikTok. I've lost 27 pounds and 30 inches of fat in 12 weeks and have maintained it for over 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. Right? This stuff really does work. It's absolutely amazing. But Dr. Tiff, I believe you want to bring in our first guest?
Do I?
Oh, I will. I guess I was asking permission.
No, have at it, Jim. Have at it.
Do I? Do I? Golly.
Hi, everyone.
Okay. There we
Wow.
go. Just playing a little bit of musical checkerboard thing.
There we go.
Levi, how are you, my friend?
I am awesome. I am awesome.
So, Levi, brother, I want to ask you the simple questions. Man, how did we meet? Where were you at with your health at the time? And where are you at now? And I love Levi because normally we've got to tell people, hey, turn off the ceiling fans, get into a quiet room. Guess what, Dr. Tiff? He is a professional video gamer. He's already got that all set up. He's already got the microphone. He's got the ear. He's already set up for this. So
Other than the birds in the background, you might hear those a little bit.
a little bit of the birds in the background. I thought that was just ambiance. How did we meet, brother? Where were you at health-wise when we met? And where are you at now? And I know I originally said 6 to 8 minutes, but you can go a little bit longer if you want. 10 minutes, something like that.
All right.
Hi, buddy.
So I had first seen you when I was in the hospital after my third back surgery. And some people, going through this process, you think of a back surgery as just a bones and the disc and all that stuff. But as I've gone through the system and how much it's done for me, I have learned that the inflammation part was the biggest part of my issue. Not just the weight, I had high blood pressure. I had a lot of the normal, that's normal nowadays. High blood pressure, overweight. I had a lot of swelling in my legs. I had other issues with pre-diabetes, the skin tags that I no longer have, which are awesome. It's been, 2 months, month and a half. It's been a relatively short time, and it's been a 180 transformation. But before that, so I want to backtrack to how this started, because I think it's an important process to how this led up to how we met. So I grew up on a farm, blue collar. I've done factory work after the farm. Always been the hardworking guy. Always had natural foods to start with. And then after I moved from the farm, I found, junk food. I've never had that before, really. So I ate it, and way too much of it. So that started this downhill slope of gaining the weight, gaining this inflammation that I didn't know the role in yet. And slowly I started getting worse and worse until about 2019. 2019, I got to the point where my back just gave up. It was the tipping point. And from there, the blood pressure skyrocketed. My weight skyrocketed even worse. And it was just this, my mental state went down. Couldn't do much. Had surgery after surgery. I went from having one minor disc issue to having the 3 back surgeries. Almost half of the discs in my back were having problems. And I'm laying, this is in June, I'm laying in the hospital, and I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? I am not seeing what my kids are doing. I'm not seeing what's going on at home. I'm just laying there. Horrible mental state. Couldn't do much. And I'm scrolling through TikTok, and I find Jim, and I'm like, another sales, That's what I thought at first. But I'll watch it. I'm desperate. I have nothing else to do anyways. I'm laying there. I watched him for about a week. And I'm finally like, okay, I'm going to try this. This is maybe what I need. So I ordered the system. It takes that extra week to get in the middle of nowhere where I am. I finally get out of the hospital from my surgery, but I'm laying at home waiting for this product to get here. And I'm looking outside. I'm watching My brother, amazing guy, great uncle to my kids. I'm watching him out the window play with my kids as I'm laying in bed. And as a father, that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to watch, even though it was really special what he was doing. And I knew I had to do something. So when I got that system, I got on it and I was boom. I did everything that they said I was supposed to do. The fasting, the product the way it was properly supposed to be used. And I dropped weight like no other. My swelling went away. My blood pressure started normalizing. I mean, the doctor, I had these two comparisons from before when I was in the hospital. You know, they give you the tests and my follow-up appointment. And he's like, "What are you doing?" My doctor asked me, "What are you doing?" And I told him, and he and he's like, well, just make sure you see a dietitian too. And of course I followed up with him as well, but it was amazing. The rest of my back, the spots that we had talked about with my doctor saying I might need surgery on in the future, my neck being one of them, no issues. I mean, these areas that I had problems with for the last decade because of my health going down, there's nothing wrong with them now. And it's just unbelievable how that swelling element, the inflammation, played that role in my back. And the rest of me too, but the pain, you know, from the back, yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What else do you want to know?
Dude, I love this touches on the very thing. I see Tanya in the comments section, and Tanya is somebody who I feel like this system really helped kind of helped restore her hope, you know, and having watched it restore hers, it really made me realize how special this thing is, that people do find hope. If they feel helpless or they feel hopeless, that through this system, they're finding hope. And that's you know, what's funny. I knew you were going to have some special things to say here, but I didn't, the story about watching your uncle and your kids, that's hard to know you want to be a part of that,
right?
But that you can't.
That was one of the hardest things I've ever gone through in my life. I mean, 10 times worse than the physical pain from having surgeries and having back pain. Just watching that, knowing that you can't go out there and participate in that.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible.
Inflammation.
Now, inflammation was the key.
And Levi, how long have you been on the system now?
About a month and a half, almost 2 months.
8 weeks. 7, 8 weeks.
Yeah, within the end of the first week, my swelling in my feet had gone down and my ankles. That was the first thing that I noticed externally. And I had just gone through testing too for sleep apnea. I'm already sleeping way better than I was. Like I used to go a half an hour, toss and turn, half hour, toss and turn, half hour. And now the last 2 weeks or last week, I've slept clean through the night, not getting up any time during the night. And I don't ever remember the time I was doing that.
It's funny. I remember a day, and I don't know if this is, I don't know how many other people this has happened to, but I remember a day. It was relatively early on when I started the system. Might have been inside the first month, maybe. And I remember specifically waking up on a weekend morning and rolling over. And so my wife and I, we were sleeping back to back, and we both kind of rolled over at the same time. And so we're facing each other in bed. And I don't know if she said it or if I've said it, but one of us, I just slept through the entire night. And we both kind of at the same time were like, yeah, the entire night. What the heck? How did that happen? I didn't expect that.
It's insane.
It's funny that you're mentioning that. Okay. Brother, I love your story. Dr. Tiff, what do you have? What do you got?
No, I do. I love it. I think those are great results. I'm so happy you got on here and shared. But you know what else that I want to touch on? I mean, we have so many people that live more of a sedentary lifestyle, and I guess I'm assuming, but that may not be true. But that's become the new smoking. And so I'd love to see people have these great results. I mean, you even have your truck drivers that do the same thing, sit forever And truck drivers for sure are one of the most unhealthiest populations, having heart disease and everything, so much more than others. So I love it when I see people that are taking their health back and using these products to do the things that they have a hard time doing. So I'm so excited that you came on here and shared your story with us. And I think
that's become the new smoking.
Oh yeah, sedentary lifestyle.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I no longer. So I started the gaming thing because I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't really do much at the time, so I'm like, hey, I'm going to sit here. I can do this. But now I have learned to do a much better balance of the gaming and getting out there and doing other stuff. So
Yes.
that helps a lot.
I love
Best of both
everybody.
worlds.
Very good.
I love every bit of this. All right, Levi. So here's the deal, brother. What I like to do is shut down your camera for a little bit and have Dr. Tiffany go through and explain how these things, what's going on inside of us. And then I'll go through and I'll kind of explain how the system actually works and the process like that. And then I like to bring you back at the end of the live stream if anybody has any questions for you. Is that cool if I bring you back here in a little bit?
Sounds great.
You're a rock star, brother.
Thank you.
All right, man. Dr. Tiffany.
Yes.
Did I give you enough time?
Yeah, of course. I'm always ready. But I do.
Look at this.
I love this
More
story.
energy for. Oops, I think I just goofed it up. Let's see here.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
More energy. You were reading somebody's results. Is that what you were reading?
No, I was. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. You know what? I think I want this other one because we want to be able to see Tony better. So there we go for the sign. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and shut my camera off because 2's a company, 3's a crowd. So.
Well, you know what? The big issue here, we're talking about cardiometabolic health. Levi was so great in sharing his story, but he's not the only one. Of course, all of us here, Tony, Jim, myself, all the people we know, 93% of Americans are actually struggling. So a lot more people than people realize. Only 7% of people are actually metabolically healthy. And so we use a medication to try to help this, but it only helps 1 out of 100 people. And those would be your statins. And that's one of the most common prescribed drugs right now in the US. But if you make some lifestyle changes, it has been shown that particular lifestyle changes can improve your metabolic health by 39%. That's almost 40%. That's almost half, people. And that's just with changing how you're living. Now, heart disease is still the number 1 cause of death. Even with the changes in the low-fat foods and everything else, it still is knocking us out more than anything else. Why is that? Because we aren't really getting to the root cause and we're still doing things the same way. If you guys were here when I first came on this call, I was talking about taking the red pill, understanding that there is so much that we need to actually do differently, turning the pyramid upside down. We have to make so many changes to be able to hit all these things that are linked to insulin resistance, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, blood pressure, stroke, polycystic ovarian syndrome, erectile dysfunction, so many things. But what is insulin resistance? So I like to talk about the symptoms because once I get people to understand, oh, I have those symptoms, then they want to hear more, right? So having cravings for sugar and salty, difficulty losing weight, particularly around the midsection, having skin tags. That's not something you're supposed to get just because you're older. No, that actually becomes because insulin can act like a growth hormone and overgrow those cells, making skin tags, little flaps of skin on your neck, under your eyes, on your thighs, on your abdomen, under your arms. And then even it can overlap skin to make dark patches of skin too. That's not dirt. That's actually a pigmentation because of the overlapping of skin. So you have more pigmentation in one place. Psoriasis. I think people don't realize that skin, that autoimmune skin disorder is actually linked to insulin resistance. And then the upper abdominal obesity, the blood pressure, the visceral fat, that's the fat around the organs. Having the fatigue, especially after meals, the itis, those are real things. Those are real symptoms. And then, of course, we think about diabetes, but this affects our hormones, so many things. And then you want to say, why? How did we get here? Well, we have macronutrients. We have the carbohydrates, we have the protein, we have the fat. That's what our food gets broken down into that we eat. Well, your carbohydrates, when they get broken down, they break down into glucose. Glucose then is what signals your pancreas to release insulin. And so glucose breaks down into the most, carbohydrates breaks down into the most glucose. So you're going to get the highest insulin spike when you eat carbohydrate foods, okay? Carbohydrate rich foods. Protein breaks down into a little bit of glucose, so you'll get a little bit of a spike. That's what this blue line is the protein. And the yellow line is the healthy fat. That barely allows you to make any insulin. So if you look at maybe a typical day for a lot of people, especially given that we used to tell people, we as in the health community, to eat every couple of hours. And then, I just talked to a member of mine that was talking about how her nutritionist told her to eat carbohydrates every 2 to 3 hours. People are still telling people this. And so if you wake up in the morning and you have your breakfast and it's oatmeal, you think you're doing good, right? That breaks down into glucose, especially if you don't get like the steel cut oatmeal. And not too many people are getting that because it doesn't taste as good. And if you're doing your toast, you're doing your cereal, those things are going to break down into carbohydrates. The more processed, the even more they break down into glucose. Okay, that makes your pancreas release insulin. Then you have your snack because that glucose comes down and now you're tired, you're fatigued, and you want to eat again. And it's too easy to grab a carbohydrate snack. My truck drivers, how many times do they get to pull over and actually have something healthy for them? Not really, because they're driving at crazy hours. So you have to keep stuff, all of us really have to keep stuff on us that are actually more protein rich, things like that, because it's too easy to grab something carbohydrate. Then you grab something lunch, and usually that's something like maybe a wrap, maybe a sandwich, maybe a slice of pizza. Well, that's going to have some carbohydrates in it. That's going to kick up the insulin. Same thing about the afternoon snack and then dinner. And oh my gosh, if you have dessert, this insulin never has a chance to come back down. And so what happens is this insulin molecule released by the pancreas, an organ behind your stomach, is pushing to get that glucose into the liver, muscle, and fat cells. Well, we easily think of type 2 diabetes when we're talking about insulin resistance, but that's the end result. That's the end result of insulin resistance. But the reality is it's so common. 1 out of 3 adults have prediabetes, and 9 out of 10 don't know they have it. And then type 2 diabetes, 1 out of every 10 people actually have it, but 1 out of 4 don't know they have it. But there's so many people that are hanging around in the normal A1C lane. So A1C is a way to measure your blood sugars, and that's traditionally how you monitor things like diabetes, type 2 diabetes. For years, that's all the medical community has been doing, is following the sugars. And so when your A1C is in the pre-diabetic range, they start to get more alarmed. They start to get more alarmed when it's in the diabetes range. But there's so many people who are in the normal range, their A1C hasn't picked up yet, and they are still having all these other symptoms. Why are they still having all these symptoms? Well, like you heard me just say, type 2 diabetes, prediabetes is more end stage insulin resistance. Before that happens, you're having a lot of insulin in your bloodstream. And what's happening is your poor insulin is pushing that glucose into the cell, so much so that it overwhelms the cell. And your pancreas keeps increasing the amount of insulin to get that glucose in the cell. So in the beginning, there's no glucose in the bloodstream. It's being stuffed into the liver, the muscle, and the fat cells. It's being crammed in there until the cells say enough is enough. Well, before they say enough is enough, what's happening is your A1C is not really changing. And when that insulin is high, it's causing more problems. When it's high, it can actually cause your blood pressure. It's not the salt we need to be focused on as much. Most people have figured out how to pull the salt out their diet. And unless you're eating a whole bunch of processed foods or going out to eat a lot, you aren't having a lot of salt. And so a lot of people that I talk to, they're like, I don't know why my blood pressure is high. I don't eat any salt. It's because you're eating all those carbohydrates. So when you have all those carbohydrates and your insulin is high, it makes your kidneys hold on to sodium. Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you're taking it in. Your body's going to hold on whatever you have, right? And so water follows sodium. That's a nice little chemistry thing. And when it does, it increases blood volume. Well, the other part of this, when your insulin is high, it actually affects nitric oxide. Now, nitric oxide is supposed to dilate blood vessels, and that's supposed to accommodate for that increase in blood pressure, blood volume. And so when that does not, and those blood vessels are stiff, now you're going to have an increase in blood pressure. Okay. Then that high insulin also affects our liver causing increased cholesterol, causing increased triglycerides specifically, and lowering your HDL cholesterol. That's the good cholesterol. That's the protective cholesterol. But it also increases the LDL, these small particles that get into the lining of our blood vessels that over time close and close and close and close off. So you have things like heart disease and strokes. And then what it does is it actually allows the ovaries to make cysts, promotes weight gain, causes trouble with hair growth and hair loss. And it messes with testosterone levels for women. And eventually what this does is it messes with the menstrual cycles, causing irregular cycles, but also changing how women ovulate when they pass an egg, so to speak. And so it allows women to not have children. Great thing is that we've noticed is if we're able to tackle this insulin resistance, we're seeing women be able to do what they wanted to do and be able to get pregnant. And I think that is so awesome. Now, with insulin resistance comes chronic inflammation, this low-level, annoying inflammation that wreaks havoc on our system. So, gut dysbiosis, we all have trillions of bacteria in our gut, and their job is to pull out toxins, pull out the nutrients. So we eat the nutrients, but pull out the toxins, pull out the pathogens, and excrete all that in your stool, right? Well, if you don't feed your gut bacteria with the right stuff, which would be the appropriate fiber, different colors and everything, that poor bacteria will start to make bad bacteria. The good bacteria get overrun with bad bacteria. You'll get some yeast there, and you're no longer able to do your job like you should. And then when that bad bacteria is there, it starts to eat at the lining. And then you get things like leaky gut. And that leaky gut, that stuff that's in the intestine starts to leaks out into the abdominal cavity. Well, the other part of the inflammation is it impairs T cell function. And T cells, one of their biggest functions is to tell the body what not to attack. So if it's not functioning properly and you got all this stuff sitting in the abdominal cavity that shouldn't be there, your body starts to attack not just that stuff in the abdominal cavity or in your body, but your body starts to attack itself. And autoimmune conditions are when your body attacks itself. And when it attacks the brain, that's multiple sclerosis. When it attacks the bones, that's rheumatoid arthritis. Lupus can also do that. When it's attacking the gut, that's ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. When it's attacking the thyroid gland, that's Hashimoto's. So there's so many ways how this chronic inflammation is actually playing a role with those autoimmune conditions. And so therefore, if we improve the chronic inflammation, improving how our gut is working, having more fiber, eating foods that are going to be more beneficial to us. You know, they're going to have more fiber. They're going to be more whole grains. They're going to be able to treat our bacteria better, avoiding the processed foods because that actually kills off some of those good bacteria, but also shoots up the sugar too much. And then doing resistance training because we need that. Muscle has more insulin receptors on it. And then, of course, time-based eating. And, I love to say this. I don't like villainizing anything, but I will villainize some processed food. It's not real food anyway. I call it food. It's not real. This stuff isn't real at all. In fact, we don't even give our dogs this stuff anymore. We have Fresh Pet for our dogs, right? But we still eat these processed things, and they are literally killing us. But on top of that, they're addictive. And there's so many signs that point to that. You feel like you need to eat or snack all day long. You crave sugar during or after meals. I mean, look at the list. And then not only that, it kicks up dopamine. Sugar is one of the only things that kicks up dopamine outside addictive things. Addictive substances or behaviors, sugar does. Not fat, not protein. How many times have you had a 12-ounce steak and said, I've got to have that again? That hardly ever happens, right? But sometimes it feels as if those sugary foods or carbohydrates are actually calling our name. Now, all carbs aren't bad, but the problem is the processed carbs have been stripped of their fiber. So they no longer have the protective benefit they were supposed to have. Look at your white rice. Your white rice is all nice and fluffy. There's no fiber in that, hardly any. But wild rice, yeah, not as nice and fluffy, right? But how many people are choosing the white rice over the wild rice? Most people are. So they're missing the fiber benefit there. And why do we need that? It blocks inflammation. We need the different colors in the fiber because every color has a different nutrient, phytonutrient. Polyphenols are behind these colors too. And so you want to eat the rainbow, but of course you want to eat the rainbow without having to spend a whole bunch of money, right? You want to eat the rainbow without it going bad in your refrigerator. You want to eat the rainbow without toxins and everything else that's in our dirt. I mean, you have people with gluten sensitivity when that really is because of a pesticide put on our grains. So make it make sense, people. Make it make sense. It's so hard to actually try to find the healthy fiber unless you're going to grow it yourself. So if you're growing it yourself, great. But you still probably need more than you probably eating. Now, not only does it decrease the inflammation, it dampens the sugar spike. And so if you remember how I started this, the issue is insulin resistance. And that comes when you have those glycemic spikes. So dampening that spike is going to allow your cells to become more insulin sensitive. And then fasting. This is literally just taking a break with the eating. And it doesn't have to be you fasting for 16, 18 hours. You can start at a 12-hour fast, meaning you just don't eat between your meals. And eventually over time, especially if you use the tools we like, you start to be able to fast longer. But you want to do this not because it's a cool thing to do, not because you're trying to lose weight, but because there is a cellular detox that happens after you get past 16, 17 hours of fasting. You actually start to replenish your neurons, your gut. You improve cognitive function. You end up getting rid of toxins and pathogens. You boost your immune system. That happens when we shut down how we're eating. And so many people, because so many people are doing these shots right now, the first thing anybody says, well, will my GLP-1 help? Well, I'm here to tell you, literally, your GLP-1 will, because you already make it. And it actually delays gastric emptying. It allows you to feel full. But most people, when they say GLP-1, they're talking about these shots that have been made. And that's not actually a GLP-1. It's a receptor agonist, meaning it binds to the receptors to pretend like it's your GLP-1. But of course, most pharmaceuticals, it comes with side effects, with baggage. And you have to really weigh, is the baggage worth what I want to get? I don't think it is. Now, 40% of the weight loss that is happening with these shots is lean body mass. That's your bone. That's your muscle. And we all need that, unless we want to be 80 and can't get off the floor. I want to be able to get off the floor when I'm 80. I don't just work out to be cute. I work out to be able to get off the floor and run around with my grandkids, right? So the other problem with this is serious complications: thyroid cancer risk, pancreatitis, gastroparesis. That's 1 out of 20 people. That's not 1 out of 20 people. I'm sorry. That's 20%, 1 out of every 5 people. Yeah. Okay. And then gut perforation. And we just talked about how leaky gut was problematic. Well, a hole in your gut, that's a problem. We don't need that. And then it actually turns off the cravings, because that's what GLP-1 does. But after 2 years, that stops working as well. And so you end up needing a higher dosage, or you end up needing a new medication. And I've seen this in practice. And then when you are trying to get off the medication, you end up gaining the weight back as fat, because one, you've actually decreased your ability to make muscle again. So you have to be very diligent with doing resistance training, with eating your protein, even more so when you're on these types of medications. So yes, of course, I love a natural solution. After years of writing prescriptions and being burnt out with seeing people on meds and not getting better, I am loving the fact that I'm helping people with lifestyle changes and adding some tools to make those changes easier, and they're having even better results. So one good thing about the tea we like to use, and we kind of call it tea, that's a misnomer, but the chlorogenic acid drink we have, it reduces absorption in the gut, it improves uptake of glucose in the muscles, which is huge. Resistance training helps that as well. Decreases inflammation and oxidative stress. And then when you actually use this with the fiber blend, you're actually going to get even better increase with your GLP-1. That ferulic acid gets to the gut. It gets broken down into another product that stops the breakdown of GLP-1. So you have more in your system without having to take a shot. And then the theobromine helps with the mood, helps with even just dilating blood vessels and bronchial vessels. That's the airways. And then the saponins even have some anti-parasitic benefit. I mean, there's so many things that happen here. And the fact that we need good fiber to treat our microbiome should be something that shouldn't be lost on anybody. We do. So having this 7-strand fiber blend do that is everything. We're able to decrease inflammation. We're able to treat our bacteria appropriately, so that way we aren't dealing with things like leaky gut and chronic inflammation. Bottom line, insulin resistance is not genetic. It's 100% tied to our lifestyle and what we eat, how we sleep, how we manage our stress, and our activity. All these things play a role. And so in order to be the superhero of your own life and to others, it's important to understand this and be willing to tell everybody, just like we do every Wednesday. So this is me. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube. I'm just a doctor crazy enough to believe we don't have to be on medicines forever.
You know what, doctor? You said something in there, and I don't want to goof up your verbiage, but you were talking about, I don't like to demonize things, but it wasn't demonized. You said
Villainize.
food. Well, villainize. Okay, well, you're a very nice doctor, and I'm just a dude. And so I'm going to villainize. I'm going to do a little bit of that. Because I have to. Okay. You talked about GLP-1 and GLP-1, and then there was side effects, and then we can do it natural, right? I want to expose some side effects. And I say expose, I'm going to talk about some side effects. And so I want to go through just a couple side effects of adverse reactions of medications. Okay. But first off, let's talk about what is GLP-1 and what is GLP-1 receptor agonist. The difference there, right? The GLP-1 is the hormone, and that those medications are not. They are not GLP-1. They're GLP-1 receptor agonist. It's a chemical. It's a synthetic form of your hormone that your body produces. And so I want to kind of dig into that a little bit. The reason I like to do this, I've been talking a lot about this lately, Dr. Tiff, is I feel like we've been taught to kind of muddy the waters a little bit. And when we're taught to muddy the waters, we kind of, whatever. Like, hey, I think it's socially acceptable to eat junk food. You go out to the ballpark, you're going to have a hot dog. Or, yeah, man, I was hungry, so I grabbed some junk food, I don't have a whole lot of time tonight, so let's just go get some junk food. And it becomes it becomes socially acceptable. Mm-hmm. I think if we didn't call it junk food, if we called it junk or food, it might change the way that we, what we put into our bodies. And I think by calling it junk food, and this is just my own attempt at being a psychologist, I think that the big food industry loves it when we do that. I think they like it when we blur those lines. And so to that point, I think that the pharmaceutical industry loves it when we blur the line between GLP-1 and GLP-1 receptor agonist, because there's no side effects to GLP-1.
Right.
There's lots of side effects to GLP-1 receptor agonist. Mm-hmm. And so you don't want to villainize, so I will. Here we go. How's that? I'm going to just go through. But I guess before I do that, I want to talk about this real quick, Dr. Tiff. The physician's desk reference. This is Dr. Tiff's old buddy, right? They've been around since 1946. And we love Dr. Tiff, but it's completely unreasonable to expect that she would memorize every contraindication, every adverse reaction, every dosing consideration, for every single medication that's ever been invented. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's reasonable to ask anybody, even the guys who own the pharmaceutical industry. They don't know those. And so Dr. Tiff, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, pharmacists, nurses, they would go to this book right here to look up information about commonly prescribed medications, things like Ozempic. And so with that being said, let's go to, and you will notice that on the book it says physician's desk reference and pdr.net. So what I want to do is I want to go to the pdr.net. Let's see. I'm gonna put us like that. Hey, that's perfect. Okay. So this is the PDR. It's the prescriber's digital reference. It's part of the physician's desk reference suite of goods. And I want to type in Ozempic. And there it is. It's a semaglutide. And you can scroll down. By the way, everybody has access to this. Go look up the medications that you're currently on. Hit drug summary. And we're going to go to classes, and right there, glucagon-like peptide 1 receptor agonists, okay? And then you got the adverse reactions. Severe adverse reactions include retinopathy, blindness, appendicitis, pancreatitis. The irony here, Dr. Tiff, if you are a type 2 diabetic using this to manage your type 2 diabetes and you get pancreatitis, boy, then you're in a whole different world of hurt, right?
Yep.
Renal failure, kidney failure. Moderate adverse reaction, mild adverse reaction. But if you scroll down, you'll see boxed warning. And when you go to boxed warning, you see this thing right here, thyroid cancer, thyroid C-cell tumors. Now, what is the risk of that? This study right here, February of 2023, GLP-1 receptor agonists and the risk of thyroid cancer. So, use of GLP-1 receptor agonists for 1 to 3 years was associated with an increased risk of thyroid cancer. That's an adjusted hazard ratio of 1.58. That's a 58% increased risk of thyroid cancer. And a medullary thyroid cancer adjusted hazard rate of 1.78, or a 78% increased risk of medullary thyroid cancer. Those are real numbers. Those are very, very real numbers. And then gastroparesis. This study right here, glucagon-like peptide 1 receptor agonists associated with gastrointestinal adverse events. This one actually has quite a few things on it, but they specifically point out a 5.1% risk of gastroparesis, or at least 5.1% of the people that were on the medication got gas. So this one doesn't really show causal, but wow, there's something there, right? When 10,000 people who were on these products and 5.1% of them got gastroparesis, there's something we should look at. Now, something else I want to, while I'm digging into the PDR, let's come back to the PDR and let's look up metformin. And I mean, there's a lot of different metformin, so I'm going to choose Fortimet because that's metformin hydrochloride, right? That's the most common one, right, Dr. Tiffany?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's click on that. I'm going to hit drug summary again, and we're going to go to the adverse reactions and severe, moderate. I want to pick on this one right here. Moderate adverse reaction, vitamin B12 deficiency, right there. Now, if I come over here, this study looks at long-term metformin use and vitamin B12 deficiency in the Diabetes Prevention Program Outcomes Study. And they concluded long-term use of metformin in the diabetes prevention, whatever, was associated with biochemical B12 deficiency and anemia. In this study, it kind of validated that. Here's another one done in 2023, metformin-induced vitamin B12 deficiency among type 2 diabetes mellitus patients. And this is a systematic review. So this kind of looks at all of the research that's ever been done on it. And the results, there is a positive correlation between metformin intake and vitamin B12 deficiency. Now, I'm talking a lot about B12 deficiency, but a lot of our listeners probably have neuropathy. Neuropathy is that pain, tingling, or numbness in your feet, legs, or extremities. This study right here looks at the associations between long-term metformin use, the risk of vitamin B12 deficiency, and neuropathy. Okay, so this looks at that. You know, B12 deficiencies and neuropathy, they go hand in hand. Long-term metformin use is associated with both an increased risk of vitamin B12 deficiency and peripheral neuropathy in patients with type 2 diabetes mellitus. Providers should consider routinely assessing vitamin B12 status in long-term users. There is a connection. Now, let me bring this back to kind of cover what Dr. Tiff was talking about. This right here is a study that was published in October of 2023. It was peer-reviewed, and it was actually performed by Dr. Tiffany's mentor, Ben Bickman. You'll see it right there. Now, this study, yerba mate supplement, he actually looked at Unicity Unimate. In fact, he specifically named it down in the materials and methods. You'll see it right there. The mate was from Unicity International. This study's interesting, Dr. Tiff, and you'd probably do better at explaining this than me, because I'm going to try and do this, but it's definitely over my head. But the way that Dr. Bickman describes it, it's kind of like putting your car in park and revving the gas, and you're sitting there in your driveway flooring it, and it doesn't do anything but waste fuel. It makes you burn fuel. That's kind of what this study says Unimate does to your body. It revs up your mitochondria, the little engines of your cells, gets them burning fuel when you're otherwise not burning, when you wouldn't be doing it otherwise. It kind of makes you what would be an inefficient, but actually quite efficient fat burner. This study literally proves that Unimate makes you a better fat burner. Now, something that Dr. Bickman was observing while he was doing this was GLP-1. So when we talk about GLP-1, that's a hormone that your body produces. Well, Dr. Bickman,
that I'll be sharing at a meeting in March in Las Vegas is that this yerba mate supplement called Unimate also increases GLP-1 we found in this experiment we did, the GLP-1 levels went up by about 70% in the fasted states, which is pretty considerable.
70% GLP-1 increase. Unamate. He literally named Unamate, and he said that it increases GLP-1 by up to 70% in a fasted state. Now, that's pretty powerful. Now, I want to just go to the product page for Balance. That is the fiber supplement. We talk about B12 deficiency. Let's talk about Unicity Balance. This is Unicity's product page for Balance. It'll tell you all about the features and benefits. In the benefits, it helps curb appetite between meals, aids in reducing the amount of dietary cholesterol that's absorbed into the bloodstream. It helps reduce carbohydrate absorption in the body. It supports normal, healthy blood glucose levels. That's why we call it Balance. It balances your blood sugar. Supports healthy weight management and supports time-based eating and other intermittent fasting methods. Balance is really amazing, but if you scroll down and you look at it, what it is, it's not just fiber. It's also a multivitamin, and your recommended daily intake of vitamin B12. Each packet has 1,040%. Now, in addition to that, I just want to touch on this really, really quick. If we go over to Google and ask Google, what is the top heart hospital in the United States? Google says the Cleveland Clinic. The reason I love this is because this study right here, this was published in September of 2002, fiber and multivitamin combination therapy. They looked at Balance. At the time, it was called BioSlife. It's still called BioSlife elsewhere in the world. It's either Balance or BioSlife, depending on where you're at in the world, but they are one and the same. This study looked at that, and it was done at the Cleveland Clinic. And you'll see it was what they call a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized clinical trial. It was peer-reviewed. It was published. And you can see right here, it was cited at least 20 times. That's pretty powerful. If you wanted to read this in full, you could click that download full issue, and it will bring you to here. This is the full study. You'll see it was done at the preventative cardiology section of the Cleveland Clinic, and they looked specifically at BioSlife. They found significant reductions in LDL, total cholesterol. There was an improvement in HDL. There were improvements all over the place in people's blood work, and that's just it. Blood work doesn't lie, and they found it to be true. They concluded such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs, aka statin medications. Now, as of 2019, there were about 92 million Americans who were on a statin therapy. And since we're talking about statins, now these are lipid-lowering lipid-lowering medications, things like Lipitor, Crestor, Zocor, atorvastatin, rosuvastatin, simvastatin, pravastatin, fluvastatin. How am I doing, Doc? Am I doing pretty good?
Yeah.
This study right here, published in July of 2023, assessing the link between statins and insulin intolerance. Do statin medications cause insulin resistance? Now, this is a systematic review. That, again, means it looked at all of the research that's ever been done.
Yeah.
The included studies had a total of 46,728,889 participants. The findings suggest that the use of statins is associated with a decrease in insulin sensitivity and insulin resistance. In fact, if we were to come back to our friendly little PDR and look up Lipitor, if I could type, Lipitor, atorvastatin calcium, that's the #1 prescribed statin medication right now. If we hit drug summary, and we go down to adverse reactions, under moderate adverse reactions, diabetes mellitus. Well, of course, we know that that's caused by insulin resistance. So what we have is a product that naturally increases your GLP-1. It's plant-based. There's no side effects. We have a fiber supplement that helps control your blood glucose, that helps control your cholesterol. It's backed by science. It's plant-based. It has no side effects. The Cleveland Clinic said could potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs more than 20 years ago. And of course, they used the word potentially because if they said it did and it didn't, they'd get sued. So they're always going to use words like potentially. Could potentially decrease the need and or dose for statins. What we have is the right product, and this is absolutely the right time. So the system costs $159 per month. When you fast, when you start skipping breakfast, that pays for the system. Generally, I mean, you can't get through a drive-through for less than $5. I don't think you can. Anyway, that's Starbucks, that's McDonald's. It's hard to get through any drive-through for $5 or less. This system costs about $5.30 a day, $159. The thing is, the beauty behind Unicity is when you try their product for 90 consecutive days, that's what they're asking. You spent a lifetime getting sick. Give them 3 months. Give them 3 months to see if they can undo a lifetime worth of mess, right? They guarantee that you're going to feel amazing after 3 months. If you don't, you get your refund. Ask for a refund. They will give you all of your money back, 100% of your money back. What they're guaranteeing is you're going to see a reduction in your A1C, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, your body weight. They are guaranteeing you quite simply that if you just try their product, you're going to feel great after 90 days. And if you don't, ask for a refund. It's so simple. They accept HSA, they accept FSA, they accept credit cards. I'm sure there's a way to send them cash. I don't know, but they're pretty versatile. Get with them and they will help you out. Try these products. If you want to order the system, just get with the person who invited you to this. They will tell you how to order the system. Dr. Tiff, did I miss anything? Did I cover everything?
Yes, I believe you did.
Let's get to some questions. And did I miss any questions while I was talking? I talked too much. I'm so sorry. Everybody, thanks for listening to me babble.
I'm very thankful you babble.
What? Well, you know what? I mean, the reality is everybody's skeptical. A lot of snake oil in the marketplace, right? But these are plant-based foods. That's what this is. It's plant-based. And it does seem pretty reasonable that the answer is in food. Okay, while we are waiting for any questions, this is a great time for anybody to ask any questions of Dr. Tiff, Levi, Tony, I'm sure would answer questions, or me if anybody has any questions. Peggy over on TikTok says, what is the proper way to use it? So Peggy, it's so simple. I'm gonna preface this. If you're in North America, the protocol is a little bit different than elsewhere, and I'm assuming that you're in North America. What you'll get is 2 of these teas every single day. Get 2 teas, and what we do is first thing in the morning. When you order the kit, you'll get a nice little bottle like this. Did you see, Tiff? I brought mine.
I see.
I did. I even saved the bag. You'll get a bottle like this, and on the back of it, it's got a line for balance, and it has a line for Unimate. Now, the line for Unimate is the tea. You just simply fill it up to here with water. You add your packet. You shake it up, as Tony's got right there, and take a sip. And you're going to sip on this. That's the thing. You want to sip on it throughout the morning. I will make 1 packet last 2 to 3 hours. Now, if that seems almost impossible in a tiny little cold water bottle, you're right. I drink mine in a 1 liter Yeti, and I drink it hot. That makes it a lot easier to sip on throughout the morning. If you can sip on this slowly, you are a better person than I am. Anyway, when it's gone, you drink the second one. It's that simple. Just transition straight into the second one, sip on it. What you're going to find is that, first off, you're going to feel amazing. You're going to get an amazing boost of energy. The mental clarity is going to be second to none. Inflammation, as Levi was describing, will go down. Your appetite will be reduced. That's the biggest thing I hear from people right now is, man, I'm not hungry. Kind of cool. But in the background, it's really increasing your GLP-1. Now, before your heaviest meal of the day, You're going to take your balance. You're going to fill it up to this line with cold water. Add the balance. Shake that one quick and cold water and chug it. Drink that one like you're at a college frat party. Down the hatch and then enjoy your meal. Pair that with the intermittent fasting system. It is so easy. And what's the word I'm looking for? Sustainable. It's not a diet. It's easy to sustain. Okay. Now I mentioned North America, outside of North America. Outside of North America, it's the same two products, just a slightly different practice. Instead of getting 2 teas, you get 1 tea and 2 of the balances. And so you would just drink a balance before each one of those meals, and you would drink a tea first thing in the morning. So that being said, the system is it's available in over 60 countries globally. This is kind of just now hitting North America, but the world has been practicing this for some time now. So, okay. Hope that answered your question. Keith feels great. What's up, buddy? How are you? Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Peggy. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and transition over to Levi. Oh, no one invited me to the, oh, you already got them. Okay, Tim. And so over on, let's see, Sabria posted this. No one invited me to this live. I found it. How would I order? And Dr. Tiff said, since you found it on my page, here's my link. There you go. Peggy over on TikTok, get with me and I will point you in the right direction. That's just it, guys. Let's just focus on getting you healthy and step on the right foot. So Levi, closing words, buddy. There's a lot of people watching this who are skeptical. They're skeptical. They think this is snake oil. They think it's a sales ploy. They think it's whatever they're going to think it is. You've got 30 seconds to talk to them. What are you saying to them?
It saved my life, literally. That's the most simple way to put it. My mental state was terrible. My health was terrible. And if I didn't have this, I don't know where I'd be right now. Seeing the things that I saw and the stuff I've been through, the pain and everything, I don't know where I'd be today without this. And now I have such an amazing outlook on life and energy. I mean, it's been so much fun, I haven't had fun in years, it seems like. In 30 seconds, I don't know if I can do it, but it's incredible. Worth every penny. And on to that point, it's cheaper because I save about $300 on groceries a month. But yeah, that's
brother. I love it. I love the fact. You know what my favorite part of the story is, and it's become my favorite part of all these stories. I love the successes. Dr. Tiff, I don't know about you, but I love this. I love hearing somebody lower their A1C or their cholesterol or their inflammation, the arthritis. I love all of that. I really do. And I don't want to minimize any of that because some of these stories are outrageous, right? Like, wow. But I think hands down, my favorite thing is hearing people who had lost hope and they find hope.
Yes.
Because that's a very lonely place to be when you feel like there's nowhere to go. Like you just feel like I'm just on a slippery slope and I'm falling and I can't get back up. And my health is declining and it's only a matter of time. That's a very lonely place to be. So I love the fact that you found that, Levi. Look at this. Clotilde, I'm already using this through Dr. Tiffany and I feel better.
Yes.
Dr. Tiff, Levi, I'm going to shut your camera down, brother. I appreciate you. I love your story, my friend.
I appreciate you too. Thank you.
All right,
I do too. Great story.
Happy to share it.
See you,
yes.
brother. Dr. Tiffany. Parting words, sister.
Oh, I came with you tonight, but look, but seriously, I love what we do. I love what we do, and actually, Miss Rice, Dr. Rice, she's one of my mentors, and so being able to help these people we respect and we love is huge. And I am so thankful to be in this position on not just her, but everybody else who watches this. Because, just like you, our people, they come and they want to hear us. And we're able to connect with them on a regular basis, and I love it. But let me say this one thing, because somebody told me
that's a doctor.
yeah, she's a PhD doctor.
She's one of your mentors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, one of my mentors, a lovely woman. Okay, now somebody told me this last week, and they were like, you know what? There's so many hope dealers out there trying to give somebody false hope. I love the fact that there's nothing false about this hope. You know, I left traditional medicine because I wasn't able to give the hope I always wanted to give. I wasn't able to do the things I wanted to do. So yes, you are 100% right. I am a hope dealer. In fact, I am the hope dealer. Okay. I am okay with that. I am empowered and emboldened to do just that. And as I walk into my purpose more and know who I am and what I do, I love when we get people on here that have these awesome stories. So then it becomes, why not believe that you don't have to take medications forever? What are you losing? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because if we're right, you literally don't have to take medications forever. People, it's really just that simple. I love it. I love it.
That's the most passionate I've seen you. You were shaking somebody.
Like,
listen to me.
Thank you. Listen. Just listen.
You know, I saw a doctor on one of the platforms, and I'll keep mine short here. But I saw a doctor on one of the platforms, and he was saying, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't want to dumb it down for him, but do you have high blood pressure because you have a lisinopril deficiency, or do you have type 2 diabetes because of a metformin deficiency, or an obesity problem because of an Ozempic deficiency? No, you're eating the wrong things, and they're making you sick. The frequency at which you eat the wrong things is very unhealthy, and it's causing problems, and your body is fighting back. Your body is literally our bodies are brilliant. Mm-hmm. The fact that we can feed them the stuff that we feed them and they still keep a beating heart for as long as they can really is a testament to what masterpieces we were given, mm-hmm. and we're putting horrible fuel in it. And so, guys, the answer is in the food that you're putting in your body, and really that's all that these are. This is a science-based company putting out a food-based product. Yeah, that really is it. My final words would be: you have nothing to lose, everything to win. Nothing to lose, as in try the product 90 days. If you're not happy, if you're not happy at all, ask for a refund. They will give you all of your money back. You have nothing to lose. Yep. Everything to gain. What if you're that person who's struggling with the hope right now, and 90 days from now you're saying, wow, that saved my life. Yeah. Dr. Tiff, I love you. We all love you. And Tony, I appreciate you, my brother. I really do appreciate you. Folks, we'll see you next Wednesday night. Come back, same time, same place, 8 p.m. Eastern. Levi, thanks for joining. All right.